and welcome to Based on Faith. Today I'll be reviewing The Knight and the Dove. The Knight and the Dove is part of a series called The Kensington Chronicles by Laurie Wick, and the genre is Christian fiction and romance. It's set in the early 1500s during the reign of King Henry III, and the story revolves around Brecon, a young earl of 24 years, and Meghan, the second daughter of a duke. The premise sounds a bit boring, but I promise you the story is good. And with that, I would say welcome to Based on Faith, where I, Faith, talk about books based on my faith in Christ. Today we'll be reviewing The Knight and the Dove. Okay, so Brecon is the Earl of Hawkins Crest. His father is dead, and his father died when he was like in his late teens, about when he was about 17 or 18, and he has a good relationship with his mother and the rest of his extended family. Brecon has been commanded by King Henry to take a wife of his choice from one of Vincent of Stone Lake's daughters, and Vincent is a duke who is unhappily married to Honora. He has two daughters with Honora, Marigold and Megan, and Honora loves her first daughter Marigold because Marigold looks like her, and Marigold is like her firstborn, it's like a mini her, but she doesn't really like her second daughter Megan, because she didn't want to give birth to another child, and she was hoping that even if she did, have to give birth to another child, the second child she would give birth to would be a son. But it turned out to be a daughter that didn't even look like her, because Megan has red hair and green eyes. You see that thing I said about red hair and green eyes? Here we go. Megan has red hair and green eyes, so Honora isn't too fond of Megan, and Vincent has to send Megan to a monastery at age 9 because she was in danger of Honora. And right now Megan is 17 years old. So when Vincent hears that one of his daughters has to marry Brecon, he lets Marigold know, and Marigold refuses to marry Brecon because he's a lowly earl, and she feels like she can do better because she's really beautiful and a lot of men in society are after her. So she was like, she's not going to settle for an earl, and so Vincent has to send for Megan back from the monastery to marry Brecon. And this was Vincent's plan. He would send for Megan from the monastery. She would stay at home for a while to collect a wardrobe, because she was living in the monastery and she was like wearing regular people clothes. So she would get a wardrobe of clothes that are fit for the daughter of a duke, and he will take Megan to Brecon's keep, which is called Hawkins Crest. It would take Megan there, and she would get to know Brecon for a few months, and then they would get married. The getting to know each other is not really about if they'll get married or not. They are going to get married, but it just felt like it would be good for them to acquaint themselves with each other before they actually do get married. And so that was Vincent's plan. So he calls for Megan back. Megan is at home for a while, and then he travels to some place. But the thing is, while he's on his trip, Megan and Honora get into a disagreement, and Honora sends Megan ahead of time to Hawkins Crest. This means Megan has no proper wardrobe. Honora doesn't send her with proper what do you call it? With a proper entourage. She just sends her with 3 other men on horseback. So it's a really dangerous situation, because Hawkins Crest is so far from Stone Lake, which is where Megan's family resides, in the sense that you would have to leave from Stone Lake like super early in the morning to get to Hawkins Crest late at night. If not, you're going to be getting to Hawkins Crest the day after. So Honora sends Megan, and on Megan's way there, they get ambushed by robbers, and the men that accompanied Megan all die. And so Megan has to find her way to Hawkins Crest by herself, because she felt like it doesn't make sense for her to go back home, because the person at home is not really the ideal person you want to go back to. It's her mother. Okay, I'm rambling right now. Megan finds her way to Hawkins Crest by herself, and because of how Megan is dressed, the fact that she doesn't have a proper wardrobe yet, she's mistaken for a servant, and when she tells them that she's the daughter of the Duke from Stone Lake, they don't believe her, and so she sneaks in, she pretends to be a servant, and she doesn't really talk to anyone, so no one really notices her accent. And when she does talk to people, she switches her accent, because she's able to do that given that she lived in the monastery and she associated with the regular townsfolk. And eventually she makes her way into the main castle and she gets to meet Bracken. Yeah, when she first arrived, Bracken wasn't around, so that's why she had pretended to be a servant for a while. And after a while, Bracken comes back and she makes her way into the castle. And yeah, the story begins from there. Bracken and Megan meet at that point and the story begins. One thing I love about Megan is the fact that she's a strong female lead. Like, ma'am is strong. She is. I'm trying to be like Megan in some ways. In some ways, not in all ways. But yeah, she's very self-sufficient. I also spoke about how this book is a part of the Kensington Chronicles, and this book is actually the fourth and final book in the Kensington Chronicles. And you would ask me, why am I reviewing the fourth book instead of the first book? But the thing is, although this is the fourth book, chronologically this is the first book. It's set in the 1500s, yeah, and the rest of the books I think are set in like the 1800s. So I'm going to review this first because it makes sense to me. I've read all four books and it makes sense to me to review this first, and we'll be going chronologically rather than according to the numbering in the series. And I'll be letting you know as I'm reviewing each book. I'll be letting you know what the numbering is. Yeah, I think I've read this book 4 or 5 times already. It's like one of my all-time favorites. And my favorite character in this book has to be Stephen. Stephen is Bracken's brother. And the reason why I like Stephen is because Stephen really helps Megan feel at home in Bracken's family. Because Bracken has like a big family, and so Megan is coming from a dysfunctional family to a family that is fully functional, and she has some difficulty, like settling in. It's not that great a difficulty, but it's just like unfamiliar to her, and Stephen is like super helpful in helping her settle in. And some of the main problems Bracken and Megan encountered in their relationship include Marigold, Megan's sister. Yeah, she's a thorn in the flesh of their union. Their own familiarity with love and romance. So I said earlier that Bracken had to like become a lord at a very young age. So that means all the stages, between post puberty and adulthood, where boys get to like talk to women and woo them and get to know women and all that stuff. He didn't really go through all that because he had like a lot of responsibility, so he's very unfamiliar with women. And Stephen and some other people have to help him with that. And Megan, the thing is, Megan grew up in a monastery, so people in monasteries are not married, so she's unfamiliar with how marriages, love, all those things work. I mean, she understands to an extent because she's not a fool and she's not a child, obviously, but the more particular parts are unfamiliar to her. And Bracken and Megan's relationship are slightly set back by those issues. Their pride and stubbornness also set them back, and it's not even slightly, it's a lot. They are both stubborn. It's like when you take one goat and you take another goat and they are knocking each other's head. They are both stubborn, very stubborn people, and they are also prideful, and they have to like learn to tone it down in order to let their relationship work. They have to like learn that, and the process of them learning that is like really interesting. And one thing I'm gonna say about this book is that it keeps you on your feet. Like, we are less than 20 pages in, boom, already having action. And even like to the very last page, it's like the story is still going on and the story is just like really good. It's flowing really well. And I think my favorite part of this book is like when Bracken starts learning to communicate his feelings and realizes that some people, including Megan, need to be told in words and not just in action. Certain things, like, if this is what you mean, don't assume that I know it, because you've showed me this is what because you've showed me, but rather, let me know, tell me, communication, yeah. I think while reading this book, there were some theological statements that I grappled with, and I struggled with them because of the contextual situation rather than the validity of what was said. So this is the context here. Person A is troubled over person B's welfare. I don't want to say the names because of spoiling the book, but person A is troubled over person B's welfare, and person C says this: I mean it when I say there are no guarantees. You must come to God His way through His Son Jesus Christ. You cannot come with the intention of bargaining on your own terms. What was said is like perfectly true. It's absolutely true. But I think what I'm struggling with here is, if I am in pain over somebody and I haven't fully gotten to know God. Okay, actually, not that. If I see someone in pain, an unbeliever in pain over somebody else, would I go to the person and, if the person is saying, "Oh, help me find my way to God because I need God because this person is just the thing this person is going through, is making me seek God." And would I say to the person, "Yeah, come to God, but there is no guarantee that God would save that person"? I don't know if I would say that because I also would not tell the person that there is a guarantee that God would save the person because God is not a genie, for us to wish upon, but He hears us and He listens to us. So, would I say that to the person, or would I find some other way to comfort the person while still bringing them to God? I guess it's just the way the words were spoken that made me say, would I say that to somebody in pain? That there is no guarantee, and that as they are coming to God, they must come to God His own way. I don't know what do you guys think? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Yeah, I'm just going to wrap up my review and say all in all that I love this book. It has all the things I love, you know Christian themes, God, Yahweh. It has romance, and it also has a strong female lead, and and then it has character development, and I just love all four of those. And honestly, for me, this book is like a 10 out of 10. Maybe 9.5 out of 10 because there is a book that I'm reserving 10 out of 10 for. Maybe a 9.5 out of 10 or a 9.8 out of 10. I first read this book in my mid-teen years, so I would recommend it to both like young teenagers, and by young teenagers I'm not talking about like 12, 13, 14. I'm talking about like 15, 16. And I would recommend it to older people because I feel like it can be read by everyone. It's clean, it's wholesome. And yeah, that's the end of this book. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell if you want to get notified when I post new videos. And if you want to, please do share this video with one or two people who you think would enjoy reading this book. If you like reading Christian fiction or other Christian romance books, I recently reviewed the Mark of the Lion series, and the first book in the series is A Voice in the Wind. A Voice in the Wind is the story of Adassa, a slave girl in Rome, torn between her love for a young and some aristocrat. That's Marcus. We've talked about him for in 2 or 3 videos already, and she's torn between her love for Marcus and her faith in Yahweh. And I'm going to post that somewhere here. So do check that out and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.